Welcome to the Frenchitivity Podcast. Kent and Michelle French back with you. Another special guest joins us on this edition of the program. We cannot wait to introduce you to Megan. She's her handles are at Sleep Training in the Woods, and she also has a travel business she just founded at Terroir Adventure Travel, Terroir Adventure Travel, and she is going to explain all of this. We cannot wait for you to meet her.
Yeah, this is a fun conversation. Again, the energy of the room, it was alive, and we can't wait for you to hear about all of Megan's adventures.
Wine and travel. Does it get any better than that?
Not in our lives, it doesn't.
No, it does not. These stories are truly incredible. Her background's amazing, and these travel trips are so impressive. But before we get to her, how do we want people to follow us?
We are so appreciative of everyone leaving comments and ratings. It means the world to us because it gets us in front of other listeners. So if you wouldn't mind to go on Spotify or onto Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, give us a follow, give us a like and a rating if you would be so generous. We would love it. So many more people have been engaging, and it means more people are hearing these inspiring conversations.
So please get ready for Megan. She's a wine scientist. She owns a travel company. That conversation is coming up next on the Frenchitivity Podcast. And as always, we hope this conversation inspires you.
Captain Michelle and Everly spreading Frenchitivity all over the world. This entire family creating possibilities all over the world. Frenchitivity, Frenchitivity, all over the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Frenchitivity Podcast. Kent French and Michelle French with you, and another special guest joining us. Super excited about this because it combines two of our favorite things.
It does.
Wine and travel. Megan is with us from Portland,
Hi.
Oregon. Megan, welcome.
Yes.
Welcome to the
Hi,
program.
welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
And as we always do, we start talking with Megan before we press record, and Michelle once again said, she's nudging me going, you're saying too much. There's too much cool stuff happening right now. So we need to press record. So we finally did. And we're going to jump into this conversation. At the outset, though, her Instagram handle is at Sleep Training in the Woods.
It's
Yeah.
so
So
intriguing.
can I start with that?
It's so intriguing. It's like, I think I get it, but I don't know if I got it.
Where did you,
Yeah.
that drew my attention. How did that come about?
So we are avid campers. My husband and I, before we had kids, we used to go backpacking a lot and all over the world. It was a big passion of ours. We love travel, love camping. And then we had our daughter. She's about to turn 9. And we just, the push to go camping was tough. You know, it was hard to get out of the house. It was hard to get all the stuff together. We couldn't backpack anymore. So we had to do car camping. Car camping was its own whole thing. We weren't really prepared. And we just weren't going. We weren't doing it. And so we made this plunge. This was pre-COVID. And I was kind of nagging my husband, like, let's get a camper. Let's get a tow behind something. Let's see what's out there. He'd grown up with a pop-up camper I never had. And he was like, I liked the experiences we had in our pop-up growing up. Maybe we could do that. So I'm on Facebook Marketplace. I'm on there trying to find something. We were down visiting my parents who were living in Florida at the time. And I found a pop-up camper close to them in Florida. And our daughter was tiny. And I just said, like, oh my God, I think this is it. I think this is our camper. We go to see it. This guy has bought this pop-up camper with all the bells and whistles, used it 3 times, and decided that his family didn't like camping and put it on Facebook Marketplace.
No way.
And I was like, this is our camper. So I get my husband out there. We go and we buy this pop-up camper. And now we have to drive it like across the country back to where we are. But it changed everything about how we camped. And suddenly we're going camping all the time, and we're camping with a toddler.
Yeah.
And we are trying to get some sleep at night. We're trying to, understand how to camp with a family, how to camp with a baby, but also, we were sleep training. We were trying to do all the parenting stuff. And now you're trying to do all the parenting stuff out of your house, out away from all your stuff. And at a certain point, we were just joking about like, here we are, we're sleep training in the woods, and trying to figure out how to do all this stuff completely new. And it doesn't look anything like what we used to do, but it changed everything. We had our second kid, my son, who's now 5. We took him camping when he was 3 weeks old.
Oh my gosh.
And, we camp almost every single month. And it's just become this like glue for our family. It's an emotional reset for everybody. It's an incredible way to get outside, but it is like a totally different beast to, from what we were doing before we had kids to suddenly parenting outdoors and doing all the parenting stuff. We're not sleep training anymore. Our kids are big enough that they sleep great in the camper, but there was something of that moment of realizing like this is a different ball game than what we used to do. So that's where the sleep training in the woods comes from. That's a long story, but
no,
it's perfect. Well, and I think you made it a good. I mean, I had a friend. I remember someone saying to me once, like, I mean, we were talking about it in terms of going to the beach. Like when you go to the beach before you have kids, and you go to the beach after you have, like adjust expectations. And so you like embraced adjusting expectations. Like this is something we're still going to do. We're just going to figure out how to do it. And none of us know what we're doing raising our kids at the house anyway. We might as well do it in the woods. Like we don't know. We don't even know what we're doing.
Why not?
Totally. And for some reason, we found that camping was actually kind of an easier version of parenting. Like you could just go out and suddenly it sort of stripped down all of the noise and all of the complications from being at home, like all the scheduling and all the play dates and all the, just like schedule stuff that we, can be complicated about parenting. Suddenly you don't have any of that. There's no iPads. There's no, everybody hanging out on their devices. There's none of that. It's just you and your kids. And that's kind of easier. It's complicated in some ways and easier in others.
Well, I appreciate this conversation so much because it's not just about extravagant travel. You don't have to get on an airplane and go to all these different places. You can actually, learn so much in your backyard, especially if you live in a beautiful place, like you do. You're next to national parks and the outdoors. And I think I read that, 40 national parks now? And different places that you've been, 10,000 miles or whatever on the camper. And you still have the pop-up camper. I guess I should ask that question. You still have that pop-up camper?
We still have it. We still use it all the time. We love it. Yeah, we just got back from a 2,500-mile road trip around California national parks. We did like the central and northern parks.
Oh, gosh. So cool.
It was awesome. It was such a cool way to start the summer. The kids got out of school. We left the very next day and we went, camping and hiking in all these different parks. And it was incredible. And it was amazing. We got back and we were like, oh, wow, we've had like a meaningful family experience to start the summer. Yeah. And now we can like chill out and do other stuff. But we've had, a really good chance to kind of connect and reset as a family. It was really cool.
Oh, so cool. Amazing. Yeah. So many places we want to take this conversation, because not only do you camp via camper and trailer, but you also, we
camp everywhere.
You camp everywhere. You go places you could not take the trailer. So can we talk a little bit about your international travel experience and maybe talk about Egypt a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Alex and I have always, we've always traveled. It was one of the first things that we bonded over when we met for the very first time in grad school. And we, both of us, he had just gotten back from a study abroad trip and then another work trip where he spent 6 months in New Zealand. And I had gotten back from trips to China and Singapore. And I love travel and we just bonded over that immediately. And so we realized like this was going to be a big part of our relationship. It was also going to be a big part of who we were as parents, And so we took our daughter to Europe for the first time. She was probably 14 months old. We just decided, why not?
Incorporate them into your life, right? Yeah. That's what we always say.
Incorporate them into your life.
Yes.
Yeah, like make it, maybe she was a bit older, maybe she was 18 months, but we took her and we just said like, well, we don't know what this is all going to be like, but we'll see. And it was fantastic. Yeah, now we can laugh about some of the trials and tribulations, but in general, we had a great time and we just like, let's just do more of that. Of course, COVID put a bit of a damper on some of that stuff, but as soon as we could travel again, we did. And I started to say like, let's do more things. Let's push this to the limit. The kids are super flexible now. They don't, cry when they are a little bit hungry. You know, they can deal with a little more longer stretches and a little more. Sorry, my cat is going to come in front of this just a second.
I saw some
Sorry about
fur
that.
at the
There's a
outside.
little
I'm like,
paw.
what is happening
Oh,
there?
my
Yes.
apologies.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
I might
I
have to
love
kick him out.
that. Oh my God, so good.
That's Tony S'mores. He's
Tony S'mores.
Tony S'mores.
yeah, he's a good little one.
He needs an Instagram handle.
Yeah.
I know. I can't maintain another Instagram account, but so yeah, we just started traveling more and more. We rented a camper in France in the fall, and that was such a fun experience. We rented it at the Paris airport. We went around to all of the different places around France. It was such a fun experience. We picnicked in like every single town we were in. We used the France Passion Pass, which is like a camping pass. So you can camp at different farms all over France. So we would pull in for the night. We would like throughout the day, drive, go to different markets, pick up all the stuff for like a really awesome French picnic, pull into like somebody's vineyard for the night.
Oh, wow.
And then like have like an awesome charcuterie board and like, you know, local cheeses and local meats and a baguette from the different regions. And my kids were like, the baguettes are different depending on which part of France you're in. And I'm like, oh my God, it's working. Like,
It's
this is my
working.
dream, right? And
Yeah.
pick up a bottle of wine. And then in the morning, you'd get to like meet the farmers and go around and see what they were growing and buy some of the stuff that they were selling. And it was just a really cool experience. And then, yeah, so now we've taken them to Egypt. Egypt was an incredible experience. And like, I went for the first time, I went with my dad, who is 77. Egypt was on his bucket list. It was not on my radar, like at all. I mean,
Right.
of course, you know, it would be cool to see the pyramids one day, but that's about as far as it went. And I was like, sure, you know, he wants to go. I'll go with you. Let's go together. And I went to Egypt and my mind was blown. It was one of the most incredibly beautiful places I'd ever been. It was filled with the most hospitable, most like incredibly kind people I'd almost ever met in my life. I mean, everywhere I went, the food was incredible. Just the experiences in general were amazing. And, you know, a week into this trip, I'm going, we have to bring the kids back here. Like, we have to make this a family trip. And, you know, I wasn't there. There's lots of Europeans wandering around with their families, but Americans, it was almost all like seniors. It was a totally different demographic, but the Europeans know that this is a great family destination. So I got back from that and was like, we got to plan a trip to Egypt. We got to figure this out. And also, while I'd been there, I heard about all of these amazing national parks in Egypt. Like, we don't talk about that. We talked about tombs and temples, but there's incredible like UNESCO World Heritage Sites. There's deserts that are national parks in Egypt that are otherworldly. And so I worked with the guide that I had been on the trip with my dad to put together a new itinerary that would kind of fit more into our family and what we like to do. And part of that was camping in the national parks in Egypt. And so we went all the way out to the Western Desert, which is between Egypt and Libya. It's in the Sahara. And there's a really cool area called the White and Black Desert, which are the White Desert is these incredible chalk and limestone formations that have been windblown over time. And they're like these massive rocks that look like meringues, like kind of in the middle of the Sahara. It looks like it has snowed because they're everywhere. And it's just like a completely different planet. And so we went out there and we worked with our guide to we set up a campsite and ate amazing Egyptian food in the desert and then slept in these canvas tents, and the kids loved it. We kind of totally by accident got stuck in a sandstorm in the Sahara while we were camping in the tents.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
But the whole thing is just a crazy adventure. And it was awesome. It was amazing. And it became like Egypt is definitely one of my favorite ever family trips that we've ever been on. And it made me just like feel so much excitement for being able to camp more places. Where else could we do this? Where else could we go and be outdoors and do the things we love, and doesn't have to just be restricted to here.
Yeah, and two things. First, I love the passion in which you speak of all this. I'm completely drawn in.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. I mean, you are certainly an advocate of the camping and sleeping outside and the experiential being a little bit different than the norm that you would think. And I love on a lot of your stuff that you write about on your Instagram handle is, you avoid the hotels. And it's about the guest houses and the campgrounds. And you've taken that from where you are in Oregon and all this stuff that we just talked about with your pop-up, and you've taken that philosophy onto the road. And I don't think I hear that a lot and I don't think people necessarily might not know that's even possible to do, because you think you need to be in a hotel, the safety, if you will, and all these different preconceived notions. So I love the fact that you're able to incorporate this passion for camping and take it on the road to different countries and come up with these experiences that are unlike any other.
Yeah. I'm not a huge hotel fan, and I know that that's not a really popular opinion. I think people, a lot of what we see on Instagram or elsewhere is fancy hotels, and where can you go and have like a luxury experience and have, something that is, all the amenities. And I just don't love, traveling that way. And I find that it just doesn't satisfy the travel itch that I have. I'm not a resort person. I'm not a cruise person. I'm not saying there isn't value in that kind of travel. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to travel that way. It's just, for me, I'm sorry. Can we, I need to put the
you're
cat.
fine. Oh, keep going. No, keep going.
I gotta kick him out. I'm so sorry.
I love it.
To be in.
He wants to be in the shot. Here he is.
Oh, look at how cute. Oh my gosh. Oh, looks like a s'more. Yeah.
He is. He does look like a s'more. All right. I'm so sorry.
No apologies.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So for me, I would say, I'm not a big hotel person. And so I realized that at some point in your life, you're just like, oh, I don't have to do the thing that everybody else is doing. And it's also completely okay to like something else. And we're a big outdoor family, and we like things that aren't perfect. We like things that aren't maybe normal or typical. And we like things that are a little more unique. And you can totally travel that way. It's a total possibility. And it could be a little more, I want to say risky, because you just don't know the outcome. Like you're gonna book a guest house as opposed to a Hilton. Well, the Hilton, you know exactly what you're getting.
Yep.
You know this, what it's gonna come with and what it's gonna look like inside. It's just gonna be in a different city. The guest house, you're not sure, and you might run into some things that are new and different. But I've never regretted making that decision. And I also feel like there's a lot of people out there that actually love to travel that way. And this, I started my travel business because I felt like there was an untapped market there of being able to travel like a local, stay like a local, and having local guides in places that families don't normally go. There's a whole world out there. And people always, if they take their kids to Europe, and that's great. Going to Europe with kids is so fun and it's so accessible, but you can take your kids anywhere, and there's so many amazing spots for them to see, and they'll just eat it up. They're sponges, and then it's fun for parents too. We all have a ton of fun traveling like that together. So I think there's a whole world of possibilities out there, and people are hungry for things that are immersive and different and unique and kind of make you feel alive inside.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that you also, you have to think about all the barriers to that, right? The thoughts that we have and the reasons that people aren't going to that more unique experience, and we can all sort of have our own, guesses about that, or our own experience of what we come up against, where we're like, oh, okay, I know what it took for me to be able to do this. But if you're going to be able to then be a guide and show people, and then they see, well, someone has done this before me, and let me follow what they've done, let me understand how they did it. If you can take away that barrier of resistance, and like you said, I think just traditionally, perhaps we all weren't immersed in that. And so now you're like, well, what if I show you? What if I show you that you can do this a different way? So I think you being willing to be first, let me do it and see what it's all about, and then let me show you how to do it. It gives people a lot more confidence, a lot more energy around the fact of like, well, wait, maybe we can do this differently. Like I hear you say it and I'm like, yeah, all right, if she can do it, we can do it. Like, I think you're giving people a lot of permission to be more curious, and you're willing to show them how to do it.
Well, and I want to touch on, too, the connectivity with the family. I think this is something, too. You go to a hotel and a resort. It's like, oh, the kids go to kids club, or they go to the pool, and the adults go here, and you're not together all the time. And that might be by design in a lot of reasons. But I'm listening to you, and it's like, you mentioned you just never know what's going to come up, but you get to figure it out as a family, and you get to go through it as a family. You get to go through a sandstorm as a family. And so how has that really made your family closer and more connected based on the way that you've decided to travel?
I think memory is something that is so powerful. And, you're forming memories all the time, but you let a lot of them go, over time, where our brains don't have the capacity to hold on to everything. And I think when you're forming memories as a group, you're forming memories as a family, you're solidifying your connection to one another. When somebody brings something up and you have a shared experience, we talked about the sandstorm last night at dinner. My 5-year-old was like, I have a question about the tents, in the sandstorm. And it was like totally out of nowhere. And we're all going like, oh, we're back to the sandstorm again. Let's talk about the sandstorm, because it's something that we've all stored in our brains, and that has, made us a slightly different family. It's changed each one of us in a certain way. And I think that it's a beautiful thing to make memories together. And it doesn't mean we can't go off into our other parts of our lives and have different experiences and come together and talk about them. And I think it's important to do that too. But I think, your time with your kids is so fleeting, and it's just a small amount of time that they're little. And also, I want them to want to travel with us when they're big. I hope they grow up to have their own families and they want to still go on trips with us. And part of that is a collective memory bank that we have of cool family travel memories. And I want them to know that they're always welcome with us forever, and I hope that we can. That's my parents did that with us. My parents we always traveled together. I grew up doing, road trips, and even if it was Europe or, wherever we were, we rented cars and we went, just all over the place, and never stayed in fancy hotels. We just went around and picnicked and stuff. And my husband's family has a really strong culture of taking family trips together. We got back a couple weeks ago from his whole family reunion. They meet up every 2 years somewhere in the world, and we all go on a trip together. And it's crazy, but I think it's a really important part of bonding and forming those connections with one another.
That's I know. We're just sitting here
like,
going, yes,
we just like agree.
Well, we always want to be the
like,
cool. We want to be the cool parents too. Like we keep talking about that. We've met people on our travels that like, oh, well, my parents fly to meet me here and this part of their trip, and they want to come meet us, and we have a lot of friends.
It's like the passing of the baton. Like you're saying, your dad wanted to go to Egypt, and so you went with him, and then he showed you this exposure, and now you pass that baton to your kids, and so then someday, when they have a family, it's like, and then you get to come travel with them. They get to choose the destinations, but like you're like, I'm in, I'll go. We're just sort of showing that like we're all ready to meet you where you want to go next. You went with us
Yeah.
all these years, and now we'll come with you. And creating
sure.
that culture, tradition, connectivity and memories in your own family is something that we talk about in a way of like how it pays dividends. Like it just keeps paying dividends. And so just creating those memories together. And you've also demonstrated it can be really simple. Like we can camp, we can do really, it doesn't have to be, although some of yours are extravagant and wonderful, but it doesn't have to be on the Nile. It doesn't have to be on the Nile, but it could be on the Nile if someone wanted it to be on the Nile.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, what's fun too is, so I started Terroir Adventure Travel, which is my travel business. And I try out every trip before I go on it, as you were kind of saying. So, I work with a local guide on the ground, and I have to shop around guides. Not every guide has this vision. Not every guide kind of goes, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and let's build it together. It's a little bit of a process, but the guide that I worked with in Egypt when I went with my dad originally got the vision. And he was like, yeah, let's put together a different version of Egypt than what other people are usually doing, and let's go deeper. And so I then, after we put together the itinerary, took my whole family back, and including my mom, and we went back and did the itinerary. And part of that was I wanted to see how it was going to work for families, for multi-generational travel. I wanted to see, like, my mom is 75. Is that a good trip for her? Or was she, uncomfortable? Or was there spots that were pain points? How do we work that out? Also, can my he was 4 at the time, like, can my 4-year-old do this? Is this interesting? Is he going to want to go into tombs and temples? Or is that not so fun for him? And so part of me going is not just like, it's super fun to travel, and it's super fun to go and take the trip with my family. It's a really nice perk. But the other part of that is like, I want to make sure it works. And when people contact me because they want to go on the trip and they have questions, I know the answer is because I went on the trip, because I was there, and I was there with people from different age groups, and I can actually answer their questions from personal experience. But it is really fascinating to now be in a position where, so we're going to, I'm currently working with a guide in India, in the state of Kerala, which is south of Mumbai. That's where we're going next. We're going in January, and we're planning out this itinerary, and I'm going to take my whole family again. And part of that is, I want to make sure that it's a guide who shares the vision. I had to go through several guides until I found somebody who understood like the community tourism part. We want to be immersed in the culture. We want to do, we want to understand local cooking. We want to, stay in guest houses. We want to visit local artisans. Like, we want to experience things a little deeper. And some guides are like, no, you probably don't want to do that. Let me show you the other version that everybody wants, because I'm sure you actually want that one. And there's a little bit of negotiation of like, no, we're ready for it. We're ready for all the bad, all the bad and the good. Like, let's show us a real picture. That usually the real picture usually comes with far worse bathroom facilities than the nice, clean version. But that's okay. We're campers. That doesn't bother us, So it's a little bit of a negotiation, but I think it works.
Yeah. Sorry, we're gonna.
No. Oh, I have so many questions.
I know, me too. I know. Well, I know you're gonna want to ask about some of the wines. But, so you did mention, and we know that you also have a travel side now and a travel agency. So when did that come to fruition? When did you realize you'd also like to be a guide for other people? And how does that currently work?
So I've been planning travel for a while, but the idea of terroir and pulling
I'm glad you said it that way. I couldn't pronounce it. I knew it was like cool French. Is it French or something? It's beautiful. So yes.
Yeah, it's a wine term. So the way that we use it in the wine world is that terroir is everything that goes into making the wine that isn't the wine itself. So it's the people, it's the history, it's the culture, it's the land, it's everything about that wine that went into making it. And I feel that about travel, is that this approach to travel isn't checking boxes. we're going to see the major highlights most of the time, but it's really not about that. Those are part, of the journey. Those are some of the, photos that you're going to take, but the experience is really everything else. It's everything that goes into that and sort of leaning into, the terroir of the travel experience itself. So
I wish we had an
that's-
English word for that. What is our English word for that? I don't know if we.
No, you don't
I don't
want
know if
English.
we-
Stick with the French.
I
It
know,
sounds
no,
so much
terroir
better.
is beautiful.
Terroir
I'll just
sounds
use
so much
that
better.
and I will
Yes.
know what it means. But right, I mean, I do think you're right. Like
Yeah.
pointing out that nothing happens without everything happening. I think it's just beautiful term. So sorry, please continue.
It is really beautiful. And I'm a wine professor at a small liberal arts college, and terroir is something that we focus on all the time when we're teaching about how to grow grapes and how to make wine. A very, very little of it is actually the harvesting of the grapes and crushing them in the winery, and everything else that goes into it is really the part that gives us the grapes and the wine.
Yeah.
And so understanding the thousands of years of history and the practices that happen in the field and what changes we can make in the winery, like all of those things are they're more important than the actual act of getting the grapes harvested and bringing them to the winery. But we focus on that part a lot. So I felt like that was I took a risk a little bit. I went, okay, I'm going to start a travel company and I'm going to call it terroir, and people are going to mispronounce it all the time. And it's, I've heard all of the jokes, which I'm not afraid of.
But you know what, though, Megan, it's a point of conversation, though. It's a conversation piece, and it gives you an opportunity to really talk about your background and then also, what the land means. And it really is a foundation for what you teach people.
I think it's brilliant.
I think it's wonderful. It's fantastic.
So nice.
People like, what the heck is Frenchitivity? Like, well,
no one knows what
let
that
us tell
means,
you.
so, yes.
It's part of a story.
And
so
I will say exactly that,
Yeah.
exactly. I dream of people asking some of those kinds of questions to us, to you, of because when you get to answer that, it's everything. You get to tell why and what it encapsulates your vision. It becomes extremely clear. So yes, name things something weird so people will ask you.
There's depth to it.
I love it. There's depth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And I just couldn't think of anything else that would encompass my vision better than that, And I think that really is the feeling that I have when I travel, is that I want to understand the terroir of a place. So that's what I'm trying to convey. And I think we're doing it pretty well.
How long has it been
How
around?
long has terroir been?
Oh, it's been less than a year.
Okay.
The actual Terroir Adventure Travel is less than a year.
Okay.
But I have been planning travel, like putting groups together for travel for a while. But this, this came about because of that first Egypt trip.
Mhm.
I had never been on an organized group tour with a guide. And in my mind, I didn't think that was going to be what I liked.
Yeah.
And so I was resistant. My dad wanted to go on this trip. I thought, group tour, 40 people on a bus, going around from site to site. We're not going to see anything. A guide kind of rushing you through. I was like, I'm doing this for my dad.
Yeah.
And then I went, and I got to pick the tour. And I picked something that was intentionally small.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, oh my God, this could be a game changer.
Yeah.
This could be a game changer for how people travel.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be big buses. It doesn't have to be earpieces. It doesn't have to be rushed. It actually could be the exact opposite of what I thought it was going to be. It could be 8 people having a real connection with one another and a local, having somebody come into the fold who understands the culture, understands the food, understands the history, and who is interested in helping you move through their culture with fluidity.
Yeah.
Like a local. And that to me was like, oh, this is something.
And these are guides that live in the country in which they guide.
Yes.
Right? That's
yes.
like requirement.
I'm not bringing over.
Right.
Exactly. They have to be from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put something out there. I am like listening to you and I'm like, and I am just gonna offer a disruption. I get why you do that because we feel like this is what I would say. We feel like when we want to travel in that way to immerse ourselves, it means we have to do it on our own. Like if I'm going to immerse, I'm going to go figure it out. And I don't need anyone to help me with that because like I need to do that.
Yeah.
And everything you were saying, as you were saying, I was like, what you mean they want? They want to show. We get this like, I get this resistance of like, they don't really want to show me because they'd be like, can't you figure it out? I get it. And I feel like this is like a perfectionism. This is a culture. This is like a thing that we should disrupt because we found that during our travels as well, is that there are people who are so enthusiastic to show us and to tell us. And when we come with curiosity and true intention to understand, it's like, it's an unbelievable experience. So thank you for saying it the way you said it. But as you were saying it, I was feeling this like, oh my goodness, this is what we do. We're like conditioned to feel like we should already know or we shouldn't go there. One or the other.
Absolutely.
Or we go on a big tour bus with all the people and we know all the locals don't like that we're even there.
And not to
You're like offering another lane. And I really like your lane.
And there's a place for that, right? There's a place for the tour bus and all those things
Totally,
for sure. Like we know that, but yours is about intimacy, and you made an example that resonated with me. And I don't know if you saw it, but it's about 8 people sitting at a dinner table and with
because
a guide. So now you can have a conversation. You're learning about the people that are on this tour. You're learning about the guide. You're learning, it becomes more of an intimate,
and you've already made that choice together. So you already know you've got a values alignment with this intimate group.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. We obviously are fans of what you're doing.
Well,
I'm like,
we say yes.
You're like changing the paradigm. Like, let's do this.
Well, I feel like there is another opportunity there. I mean, I think that people also, people go abroad and they buy their plane ticket, they rent their car, or they, sign up for their tour group or whatever it is. And, they're trying to find the nuggets. But if somebody came to Portland and didn't ask any locals what to do and did, the top 10 things that were on TripAdvisor or whatever, you would get a snapshot of what was happening here. There's no denying, you definitely could say you'd been to Portland and you'd done the top things. Yeah. But if you came to Portland and you stayed at my house and we went around and we went hiking and we maybe did some camping, or we went to, my favorite coffee shop, or we went and met a friend of mine who, owns a restaurant, or you came to the winery and did some winemaking with us, that's a different experience. That's a completely different approach, and neither one of them is wrong, but I think there's a value in engaging with local culture and to kind of understand your trip a little bit more, to understand the people. And I love people. I'm a scientist, but my first graduate degree was in sociology. And I just love community. I love seeing how people engage with one another. I love watching community grow. So that was a huge driving point for me to make this happen. And I think 8 really is, there's a magic in 8. 8 is a great group because you've got enough diversity in people that you can have different conversations with people, but it's small enough, to be a dinner party. That's
I love that.
Okay,
8 is a very special number.
Can we do like 4 podcasts in the universe?
So, I know.
I need another whole pod. I'm hearing terms and I need to jump on, but I want to finish a thought real quickly on the travel. And one is, for a lot of folks and us, you come from a grind and you get the 2-week vacation, whatever it is. And to your point, you got to look on Yelp and you have to come up with your top spots. You get a snapshot of the place. But one thing, a term that resonated with us was called slow travel. And it is a luxury. I mean, a lot of people can't stay in a place for 5 weeks and immerse themselves into a culture and really learn about these places that aren't on Yelp. Yeah. But what I wanted to ask you is, you have this intimate experience with 8 people. Do you have a sweet spot when it comes to length of the trip to be able to give the people a really good sense, not just a snapshot, but behind the picture, if you will, of the space that you're going to?
Yeah. So I'm actually an ambassador with One Planet Journey. They're a deep travel organization, and I love seeing the content that other people produce on there because they have like these long, they'll spend 3 months somewhere and like awesome for them that they can spend 3 months. I'm selling trips to Americans. We have 2 weeks. That's our culture, is that we have 2 weeks vacation.
Yeah.
It's not ideal, for anybody. And so I would love to make a trip that was a month long. That would be wonderful. I think it would be a hard lift to find people who could go on that trip.
Agreed. That's why I brought it up.
their
I
vacation.
was curious how that was going to work. Yes, absolutely.
So you kind of stay with a 2-week time frame, a 2-week
I
full...
stay within a 2-week time frame.
2 week,
And, I know that is short. But what I do in order to cut through that is maximize our amount of time in one place. So we have, Amir, the guide in Egypt. I was like, I want to do a Luxor focused trip. And he was like, no one's gonna go on a trip that's just to Luxor. And I was like, I think people will. I think we will. And I think we're gonna try it, where you come into Cairo, you have to come into Cairo. You go as soon as, see the pyramids, go to Luxor. And you stay in Luxor. You go and you see the sites, you spend time there, you go to a market, you go, go shopping for stuff, you go to someone's house, you cook a meal. It's slower. You slow down in that place, you learn the neighborhood, you go and get coffee from the same guy every day. There's an intimacy, and it's not, 2 weeks is fast, but if you spent one of those 2 weeks in one place, you start to get a feeling for what that place is. And maybe you want to come back. Maybe when you're, older and have more time, maybe you decide to come back and spend a month there. But you've gotten a snapshot of a place within the constraints of our society, and American culture. I would love if we all had 3 months of vacation a year, but that's not our reality. So I try to fit everything within that 2-week time frame. I think that's important.
I love that.
How do you find it now? So you've been planning travel for a long time, but just a year kind of in your own realm. What would you say to how people learn to trust you in that amount of time? So if you're, taking people that and obviously you've shared that you vet this trip out, so that's one level of trust. Yeah. But can you speak to that point a bit about how people trust and how you select people? It's only 8 people. So do you take them through a process? Like, how do you know you want to travel with these people? So how does the trust factor work for you?
So I am a one person show in terms of my business. And so I engage personally with every single person who comes on my trips. People will contact me either through my website or through social media, and we have a conversation. Why do you want to go on this trip? What do you think of this model? What do you think of slow travel? What do you think about going deeper? And a lot emerges in those conversations. I get a lot of people who just think it's another trip to Egypt, and they go, oh, I don't want to go have dinner with locals. And I'm like, okay, probably not the right trip. And that's fine, but most people that see me, that see my content, that have visited my website understand that this is a completely different approach. And most people will come to me and say, I haven't ever been able to find anything like this. And this is exciting. And that is a really great entrance point to any conversation. So I think the trust is partially that I've been on the trips, I'm in my content. You can see me walking, through tombs and temples, or walking, camping in the desert. You can see me doing it. You can see my kids doing it. You can see my mom doing it. And then you can see people that I'm not related to who have been on trips who, they are engaging in those environments. They're building relationships and building families and building connections with the guide as well. And so for me, travel is very personal, and I'm not really interested in, here are the checkoff things of things you're going to see, and here's the monuments. I want people to see that, people are in these shots, people are in the videos, and we're engaging with the culture there. And I think that does build trust. People seem to understand the message and they say that to me, that they resonate with it.
Well, I think this podcast too, just listening to you, will create trust. I mean, that's certainly part of our hope, but I think it's just it's obvious. It's just obvious. Like we trust. We just met you and we want to go
so nice.
with you.
I know. I'm like, I'll go to Egypt.
We want to go. We want to go.
Okay, great. Yeah.
I know. I want to go. My list is really long. Let's talk about
so
all the
we are going to stay in touch about that. We are definitely going to talk, but it's time.
We can't go in January. We'll go the next time.
Exactly.
Okay, that sounds good.
We're going to pivot for a minute here.
I know, because you've been.
Before we go,
I'm surprised we didn't even start here.
I know. But I'm going to start just with something that I heard you say. If you were to come to Portland and stay with me, we would go to the winery. Did you say winery? Did you say that? And what is
those words?
And wine professor?
Well, we need to get. It's been sprinkled in.
Yeah,
and
we've been dabbling.
It's been here and there, and but we need to understand the background there. And because terroir.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right? Because that is part of the foundation for what you built.
There's a reason you knew that
the
term.
name and everything from.
Yes.
So please, I want to dive more so into the wine part of your life.
For sure.
Please tell me kind of, and your husband's directly involved in that as well.
Yeah, for sure. So my husband and I met in graduate school at Cornell, upstate New York, when we got into our graduate programs in wine. So he is a food scientist. That's what his background is. He went to Cornell to do his master's in wine microbiology and sensory work. So he was interested in that side. He worked in vineyards in different parts of the world. He had made wine and was really interested in getting into research. My origin story for how I came into wine was I actually have a background in sort of political science and sociology, and I just had a really great bottle of wine one time and went, I think I'd like to know more about this.
Yeah.
I started learning, what went into wine, what went into growing grapes, what did all this. I went back after my master's. I went back to community college. I moved back to Oregon, went to community college, enrolled in a vineyard management program. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to be on winemaking or on the vineyard side.
Yeah.
Fell in love with being outdoors and in the grapevines, in the vineyards, and started working for a few local wineries here and realized there was a whole world of research that I loved. I met my PhD advisor at a conference, and he said, yeah, let's do this together. I moved out to upstate New York. That's where I met my husband, was in my PhD program in plant pathology and plant microbiology. So I'm a grapevine disease expert. And I worked I did my PhD on a particular disease of grapes. My husband and I we went and studied, I did research at University of Tasmania. He did winemaking there. And then we came back. I finished up my degree. I took a faculty position at University of Missouri, which actually has a really large grapevine research program. Wow. And then he finished his PhD in food science, in wine microbiology again. And then we spent time in the corporate world at Gallo in Sonoma County. We were the research scientists there. He was on the enology side and I was on the viticulture side. And then we left the corporate world and we went north and we came back up to Portland. And so now we are both faculty members at Linfield University, it's a small liberal arts college, and we have a wine studies department. So within the School of Business is this wine studies department. Alex and I are both the faculty members in there, and we teach all of the grape and wine science. We teach all of the microbiology.
Oh my gosh.
So it's students who want to go into business, but they are interested in wine. So they might become accountants for wineries or lawyers for wineries or whatever else they want to do. But we give them the foundation of what is the wine world and what do we want you to take with you out into the world about that. And so we do get to do wine tastings. We take them to vineyards. We make wine with them. We actually do a microbiology class where they learn about the history of different fermented foods all the way back to ancient times, and we make all of those things too.
Oh,
so
gosh.
It's
so cool.
Actually a ton of fun. We love it, and we work together, so that's
so cool.
great too, and we love it. So there's not a ton of dual career academics that have managed to land jobs at the same institution teaching and
That's
doing stuff
amazing.
together.
Yeah.
So
Well, I love
That
this
is
too,
cool.
and you're listening to all this, and again, the passion in which you talk about it, but also bringing this experience to your travels.
Yeah.
And I mean, you mentioned going to France, to the 5 major regions with your kids in the camper van, and I mean, I can imagine going on a trip to France with you and 7 other people. Well, I'm sorry you would come, so 6 other people.
6 other people can catch it up.
yeah, definitely.
I misspoke there big time. Yeah. So yeah, that's such a wonderful,
It's cool.
wonderful passion.
Well, and I think, when we said at the beginning, we're like, oh, we have to start hitting record sometimes because we start chatting about things. And one of the things we were saying at the top was that, like, letting people know all these opportunities are available. Like, what did we know growing up? What did we know when we went to college? And like you said, even if people want these traditional careers, attorneys and accountants and all of but they can specialize in an industry. And we were having this conversation the other day about the entertainment industry. Like you can be in these industries without being the people on the vineyards or without having certain aspects of this. And it just opens up the world that you can still be whatever and work in all these different things. And you can be a wine scientist and a wine professor and also travel the world. Like it's like we can all just cross-pollinate our careers and do all of it.
Yeah. We're trying.
It's so true.
Yeah.
We're trying.
We're trying to do it.
But I didn't know about this wine professor situation.
Yeah.
It's so
it's really
cool.
fun.
I was
I
lacking some information.
I tell all the undergrads at Linfield, having a minor in wine studies is the most interdisciplinary minor you could possibly get. Understanding wine, understanding the history of wine, the culture of wine, how to drink wine, where wine comes from, all of that. It teaches you about the history of the world. It teaches you about the cultures of the world. It is such an interdisciplinary subject. That's part of why I fell in love with wine. Is wine isn't just alcohol. Wine is culture. Wine is so much history, and it makes it so much fun to teach about.
And making it together. And you mentioned...
And making it.
You're right. And making it. And I saw there was a video on your Instagram at Sleep Training in the Woods, that particular Instagram handle, because of course you have your travel Instagram handle as well. We'll certainly make that clear at the end here. But you and your husband, Alex, were making wine. And it was... Do you get an opportunity to do that together often anymore based on your busy schedules?
Oh my gosh. So we had an opportunity come up last summer. It was late in the summer and someone called us, and we have, we know growers and wineries throughout the region, obviously. And someone called us and said, guys, we used to make wine back in grad school. And we had our own little winery in the town that we lived in, a little tasting room. It was tons of fun. It was like it was like the local bar, but it was our wine, and our friends would come. We'd have trivia. It was a party. We haven't done that since our daughter was a baby when we left that. But we haven't made wine in a few years, and we had someone call us this summer and say, I've got some extra Pinot Noir. Do you have any interest? And we kind of we got to scramble around. We made some calls, and sure enough, we were able to get out there. We got it harvested. We got, all the logistics figured out. We got it delivered to a winery that's letting us rent out space to make our wine. So we made a Pinot Noir and a Rosé of Pinot Noir this last year. We've bottled the Rosé. We're 2 weeks away from bottling the red. And we have, it's not a ton of wine. We have about 130 cases, which is still more wine than we can drink ourselves. But we are just doing it for, selling it at festivals and our kids' school event. Our kids go to an amazing international school right up the street. It's a French immersion school. So they speak French all day long, and the school has lots of cool French events. So there's a wine festival in the fall at their school. So we're going to pour the wine there, farmers markets, that kind of thing.
So cool.
But we're just some fun wine that's delicious and fun to drink and fun to make. And yeah, of course, just pile more stuff on. No
Why
problem.
not? Yeah, exactly.
Why not?
Why wouldn't
There's still
you
some
do
more
that?
hours in the day that we haven't used. So
I'm sure. Exactly. Yes.
I'm exhausted just thinking about all this stuff, and it's so
I'm
fascinating.
excited. It's so great.
I have to give your husband some props here because you said food scientist, and one of the things that we were talking about at the very beginning off camera, but I have to maybe we'll finish with this. It's called the belt. The BELT.
Yeah.
And I'm a BLT.
So
I'm very familiar with that. But this is not just your normal bacon, egg, lettuce, and tomato sandwich.
No, what's the E?
Egg. But no, it's where it comes from. Please, this is grown and harvested with you and Alex. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone should marry a food scientist. It's a game changer for your life. No, he's a prolific cook. He cares a ton about, he wants to learn new recipes, he's always making stuff. He's a prolific gardener. We have a huge garden. We have an orchard that he's planted in our backyard. He grows vegetables, and we have chickens as well. But he makes the sourdough. He makes, I think it's the best sourdough I've ever tasted. So he makes incredible bread. We grow we have chickens in the backyard who make the eggs, and they're all different colored, beautiful eggs. He grows huge beefsteak tomatoes. He grows all sorts of different kinds of tomatoes, but he grows the big beefsteaks for BLTs because they're his favorite. So he does that one. And then he smokes the bacon. So he'll buy a huge slab of bacon. He does all the smoking himself. So I mean, his dream is that we actually have pigs in the backyard. Like, he wants to go all in on this whole situation. We've done chickens before where we've raised them for meat chickens. That is fine. We had one of them like 2 nights ago for dinner. I'm a little more hesitant on the animal husbandry aspect of it. I like the chickens for the egg laying, but the meat is like, I get a little iffy.
Yeah.
I don't want to make friends with any animal that I eat. But
I was not going to go there, but yes, that's what I was thinking.
But really, when he makes things, it's on another level, and he's very good at experimenting and optimizing. And he makes pizza like once a week, and he makes pizza from scratch, everything and the ingredients. And he's just, he loves food. And it's fun to be married to someone who loves food.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's fun. I like that.
So the belt is amazing. Yeah.
The belt. I never heard of the belt before.
Yeah.
The kids love it. So yeah, it's a great meal around
He coined the belt. Now we know.
Well, we could just keep talking.
So yes, we want to come to Portland.
Yes.
We will say yes.
You're welcome whenever. Yeah, come on over.
Coming to Portland.
We would like a belt and a glass of wine.
Yes.
Okay, done.
Learn about the food science.
Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. But before we go, as we mentioned, we've kind of talked about your handles and kind of your business a little bit. But I want you to be able to give all of your handles and your website and everybody so they can find you. Because after this, people are going to want to hang out with you and your husband. Hopefully not at your house, but certainly on a trip.
Hey, so you're welcome to come.
Well, thank you. Thank you. One of 8. So we'll be one of 6. One of 8. Well, 2 of 8. I can't get my numbers right.
I feel like Alex should come too. So there's only 4 spots whenever we all go.
Alex is involved in this.
We'll do it.
Of course, we'll figure out the numbers later. Please give everybody your socials if you could.
Yeah. So my travel business account is Terroir Adventure Travel, TERROIR Adventure Travel. That's the one where it's my business account.
Okay.
That's where I run trips, those 8-person max cultural adventures. That's where that lives. Sleep Training in the Woods is my family account. It's where we're posting about food we're making, trips we're taking, wine. It's about the chickens and the chicken tunnel we built for them. It's about the pop-up camper. It's all of and there's like good Egypt content on there too, and France and Tasmania and China and all the places that we go. So that's more of a family-wide kind of look at who we are as a family. But if you're, they're connected to each other. You see that I cross-post a bunch. So if you can find me in Sleep Training in the Woods, you can find Terroir Adventure Travel really easily. And Terroir Adventure Travel also has a website with the same name, terroiradventuretravel.com. So
Perfect.
Beautiful. And
Perfect.
if you want to listen to this podcast with Megan, you can certainly see us chatting and talking at the Frenchitivity YouTube channel. And also you can listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, the Frenchitivity Podcast. Please
And we
let
want
everybody
to thank
know.
everyone who has been rating the podcast and leaving reviews. We are so grateful. That is how people find us. So please follow along on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you leave a rating or review, we are so grateful.
Yes, and you're going to meet more people like Megan.
Yes.
I mean, this is amazing. So, Megan, thank you for trusting us
Yeah,
to tell
thank
your
you.
story and come on with us and share all this incredible information about your travel business and your family. It was a true pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. This was tons of fun.
All right. Well, listen, it's been great, and this has been another edition of the Frenchitivity Podcast. And as always, we hope this conversation inspired you.
Frenchitivity, Frenchitivity, all over the